All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with a band that I didn't realize still existed, but I'm very happy to hear that you're still around. And I think really that's the best way to get into this is that last time you were on the show, I'm here with the Thrashers, and the last time you were on the show was really early in the podcast run, like it's got to be 2015 or so, and things have obviously changed. I mean, you've released music since then, and then you sort of stopped for a while, and now you're coming back with this record and this release show and all kinds of exciting news for the first time in a while. So I think before we get into any of that, the best way to start this off is if the three of you want to introduce yourselves and what you do in the band, and then people can put a name to the voice. And I'm going to start with Jesse because you're top left on my screen, and so that's probably the best way to do it.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Jesse Bercier. I play guitar in the Thrashers and I sing roughly about 50% of the songs.
Cool. Whoever wants to go next.
My name's Ian. I play bass and sing roughly the other 50% of the songs. Yeah.
Oh, we're not hearing you very well here. I can see, oh, he's on mute. That's why. Looks like we have a drummer on mute. Let's see if this works here.
Does this work?
Yes, it works. It works. Technology. Okay.
Hey guys, Sean G here. Don't know how to work a phone. I can kind of work the drums, and I cannot sing.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great introduction. So like I said, I mean, well, first of all, the band's been around for a while, going back, a number of years now, and I guess maybe that is even a better starting point. Like, how long has this actually been a band? I know there was a bit of a hiatus until the recent news about the final record and everything. But what is the origin of this? Like, how long has the Thrashers actually been a unit?
We're actually coming up on 15 years now.
Wow.
We played our first show April 16th of 2008. So yeah, coming up on the 15-year anniversary.
That's a really specific recollection of the first show. Like you pulled that date out of nowhere, just as if you have that. Like, how do you know so exacting how when you played your first show?
Well, I had the first show poster up in my house for quite a long time, so the date, is like a visual cue that kind of has stuck in my mind. But then also just in putting the new record together, part of it is with the deluxe edition of the record, you get this 28-page retrospective zine that we've compiled. We just figured since we're so close to that anniversary, it makes sense to kind of and because we're calling this our last studio album, it makes sense to kind of look back and just kind of like put together some odds and ends that we haven't released in other form. So I've been looking through old set lists and things like that. So I've got Thrashers lore on the brain.
That's awesome. So is this, I mean, with this being the last record, like you said, is this something that you had in the works a long time ago, or is this something you've just put together now for the purposes of kind of wrapping things up? Like, how old are these songs?
Some of them go back quite a ways. I think the oldest track on the album is Muscle Beach, and we started playing that again since I've been looking at set lists. I discovered we've been playing that since late 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, some of the tracks are also equally as new. We recorded these, when was it, guys? In summer of 2020, yeah, with Mask on. And yeah, some of those songs we had basically just kind of finished up right before we were going to the studio. So yeah, there's kind of a pretty wide span of length between some of the songs on this new one.
So I guess that kind of begs the question of what was the reason for this? Like, why? It's obviously a great idea to go out with a bang and have this record with, like you said, the deluxe kind of history of the band connected to it. But what provoked this? Like, you hadn't been playing shows or recording for a while there. Why come back together now and why do this kind of going out in style sort of event?
Yeah, it's been a while since the last release. Robots was 2015. And we had been playing shows all through, like, since 2015 up to till March of 2020 when COVID kind of shut everything down. But yeah, we hadn't recorded. We just kind of worked up a new batch of songs. I think it was that we really liked this last group of about 10 songs that we had here. We really wanted to make sure that there was a lasting record of them. before we decided to wrap things up. That was kind of the fundamental driver behind myself, at least.
Is that the same for the other two guys there? Like, do you guys feel the same way? You wanted to get these last songs documented and have a going away present, I guess, for the band?
Yeah, exactly. There's a few tracks on here that I think are some of our best, and yeah, I'm excited for other people to hear them. And yeah, it would have been a shame if we kind of didn't do anything with them. So this, I think, it all made sense to the three of us to do it this way, right?
It's also worth mentioning too. I mean, we had all these songs in the tank and ready to go. Like they were kind of the last 10 songs we had written that we hadn't recorded. So like, yeah, we'll get them out. And I think the idea was, when we were getting ready to record them all, the idea was, oh, okay, we'll have these, we'll record them, and then we'll bow out. We'll call it a day. That'll be that. Then, of course, the pandemic kind of put a stick in those spokes, and now it's just been a very long build up to what was supposed to just be like a fun, we'll release them, we'll have them done, and that'll be that. And now it's like, okay, well, if we're gonna wait this long, let's make the wait worth it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's affected everyone too. I mean, obviously, especially bands that aren't calling it quits, they've had the same problem where they haven't been able to play shows or tour or anything like that, or even get together to record and jam and stuff. So, how does this record sound? I mean, like again, because you put your last one out in 2015, which is, it's coming close to a decade now. How has the sound changed over that time? Like how obviously you have an established sound of what the Thrashers play, and that I guess is probably debatable as far as genres and that kind of thing. But how does this sound to you? Like listening to these songs now that you have them, pretty much ready to put out in the world. How do they feel? Like, do you think there's a progression since the previous records, or a different sort of sonic elements to it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think like with each of our records, they kind of they're their own vibe and they have their own sound to them. So it's I feel like with Robots we were really looking to capture a certain vibe, and now we've trod that ground, so we've moved on to other areas. So it's like different music is inspiring us and just different ideas coming together. And I find that our songs tend to kind of group together almost like there's a gravity to them, and they kind of shape themselves into these little clusters, which is why I like the EP format so much. I find our songs like you can get kind of like 3 or 5 songs that kind of feel like they belong in a gang together, and then it's a little bit harder to sustain that sort of cohesive feeling for me over like about a 10-song full length release.
Sure.
Uh, so with this last batch of 10 songs, I really found them kind of clustering together in these two camps.
Was that intentional, or is that, I mean, because it sounds like some of these songs are quite a bit older, right? So did that just kind of work out that way, or did you have to write to those, not themes, but those kind of clusters, I guess?
I think probably partially accidental because we kind of just had a few songs and then we were putting more songs together, sort of like the pre 2015 songs and the post 2015 songs. Um, and I think once we noticed we kind of had these groups, we decided to lean into it a little bit. We came up with the idea of the double EP actually before Robots came out. We were already talking about what we were going to do next, and we had this idea to do the sort of joint double release. Um, so once we discovered that that was kind of already happening, we were able to lean into that effect more and kind of explore like, okay, it looks like we're interested in doing this direction. Let's see what comes of us exploring that. And then also let's, turn 45 degrees or something and explore this other territory over here.
How, I guess, how final is final here with you guys? I mean, have you decided that this is for sure the end, or are we gonna hear like 3 years from now suddenly there's a new Thrashers record coming out, or another comeback at this point?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we'd say we'll never say never. Like the door is never closed. I think we all still consider each other like some of our best friends each. Like I don't know about either of these two guys. I still love the both of them. We spent every Wednesday night together, and most weekends, if we weren't playing shows, we were all just having some beers and
Yeah.
shooting the shit. So I mean, yeah, like right now, I think we all kind of got to the point where like, you know what? We've been doing this a long time. We don't want it to ever feel like work. We don't have to ever feel like we've turned sour on it. So this was like a natural place to kind of bow out. But I mean, I don't know. I would never say never. There may be some chance at some point, way the hell down the road, we go, oh, you know what? Let's get together. Let's play a show. Let's do something like that. But I think we're all right now kind of at different stages in our life. And I mean, geographically, different places right now too.
Okay. But yeah, that doesn't
So
help.
that makes it a little harder.
Yeah, in 2020, I moved out to Victoria. I've got some family out here that I wanted to be closer to and everything. Plus, I've never been a winter fan, so I just kind of I'd had 30 years of it. I wanted to, change a
Yeah,
little
that's
change
fair.
in that regard. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're all still on great terms, and we still love these songs, and we love the band. So there's no reason why we couldn't play a show in the future. We're just saying like, as for the band being like an active element, I feel like there's almost a kinship to maybe like skateboarding or something like that, where like if you skateboard, you're probably going to skate as long as your body allows you to, but like at a certain point you have to call it like, I'm not operating at the professional level anymore. I'm
Sure.
retiring, like that sort of thing. And I think we were all just kind of with this project anyway, we were like, yeah, I think it's like we're proud of what we've done, so let's kind of end the professional element of this here. And then it would always be fun somewhere down the road to, play a show one off here or there. That might be fun. But we have no immediate plans for that following the April release show.
At this point, your bodies are all broken and you can't skateboard anymore.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
How does this work then? I mean, if you're halfway across the country, how does this work preparing for a show? Because I mean, obviously it's a big deal having this release show. It's probably the first one you played in a little while, that because of the pandemic and everything else, and then because of you moving, multiple provinces away. But are you going to have time, like to hammer out a pretty heavy amount of practicing before this, or how's that going to work?
I'm just going in
Yeah,
cold. I don't know what these guys are doing, but no, we for the set list a few months back at least, and I think we've all just kind of been jamming to it individually. And I think the plan is that Ian's coming to town about a week prior to the show, so hopefully we can sneak in 3 or 4 practices. But there's definitely some reliance on the old muscle memory here a little bit too, right?
Well, yeah, I guess you've been, like you said, you've been around for almost 15 years now, so that's a lot of experience, especially with the older songs. You've been hammering them out for more than a decade now, so that's got to play a part for sure. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
like? Do some of
some
those
rest.
songs feel too old at this point? Like some of those really early songs, are you sick of playing any of them? Or I mean, I know this is a different situation because it's a final show, and you're probably going to want to play stuff from throughout the catalog, right? But I mean, at this point in your existence as the Thrashers, are some of those early songs like, are you done with them, or are you still quite happy to break those out and play them when you get a chance to?
Uh, I'd say even when we were like an active element playing shows all the time, there were songs from our earlier days that we kind of felt like, okay, yeah, we used to play these songs at every show, and now we're only playing them here and there. So there's always been that sort of like rate of attrition where the older stuff tends to fall away and you keep a few, or maybe you bring a few old ones back later. Um, but I don't think there's a single song of ours that I don't like playing. They're all still a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd say maybe not so much that we don't want to play or don't or feel like it's in the past, but there's definitely some that have been so far in our past that I don't think we could play them if we tried. Like I don't remember how some of them go,
Yeah,
but
I believe that for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
I did
but
have to relearn one or two songs for this set list.
oh
Some of
yeah,
them we haven't played since like 2015. So I'm like, oh God, that's quite a gap. I have to teach this to myself again.
Well, and you're a trio, right? So you can't hide behind someone else too, right? You kind of have to have to know your shit.
We're all pretty exposed up there. Yeah.
Yeah. I get the impression that like doing a release show was always kind of the point too, right? I mean, otherwise you could have just released it during the pandemic, sort of online or whatever. That's always been sort of the goal, is to have a party to celebrate the band and this release.
totally.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with every release we've done, save for, I mean, our first and maybe Ramp Locals was a little less of a release show. I think we've really with each album we've released, we really made a meal of the release show. Like we want to have as much fun stuff going on, put, the exact bands we want on the bill, and really just like make a make a big scene out of the whole damn thing,
So I guess.
Defend.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I gotta defend the Ramp Locals release there. We had our absolute dream lineup on that release: Vibrating Beds and Upsides opening the show.
Well, who's playing the show now? Then that's maybe a good segue into this release show you have going on in April. Who's on the bill, and why did you pick them? I guess.
Because I'm the worst with names, I had both names just. Oh, there we are. We're back. Satanic Rites, Death Cassette, opening the show. Yes, my memory is not completely gone yet.
That's a really good lineup, though. I mean, that's if you're gonna pick local bands. I actually had Satanic Rites on a few weeks ago, and they were talking about how they're excited to be playing your show. So obviously, there's a connection there, right? Like you guys have some kind of kinship as bands.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're celebrating 10 years together, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's getting old.
We're a mutual bunch of guys who like partying.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah. Once the record comes out, how are people gonna be able to find this? Like, I mean, obviously you're not actively playing shows going forward, so people can't get it that way. Is it going to be kind of widely available, or is it going to be one of these things where you sort of have to track one of you guys down and and bug you for a copy?
We'll be selling them through our Bandcamp page for sure. Like that's kind of the entity that we'll keep running as a contact point in perpetuity, and probably our Instagram as well. But yeah, the Bandcamp page will have them for sale for sure, and then you'll also probably be able to get them through the label Transistor 66, and we'll make sure that a few shops around Winnipeg for sure have some copies.
Cool. Well, and you've been with Transistor 66 for pretty much the entire time, right? It's been the label since the first one, or second?
Since 2011. So yeah, it's been almost the entire run of the band.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's almost a rarity these days, when people are just putting things out themselves or jumping around from random label to random label. What is it about that label that works for you? That is a good fit?
It is. They present themselves as a family, and it is very familial. Like we're kind of just running our own show, and then we come back to the house every few years and say, "Hey, Dad, we got a new record," and they're Art's always down. He's always happy to hear it. So they're like a support system and just a little encouragement to the band. But we just kind of run our own operation and then show it to them, and they give us the thumbs up.
It's a good system.
Yeah,
I'll say the one thing that really it appealed to us beforehand. It still rings true now. Before we were ever signed to the label, all of our favorite bands, like the bands that we loved seeing the most live, all just happened to be on that label. We're like, oh, holy shit! There's a reason why we like all this stuff. It's very supportive of that DIY garage kind of sound, and we were like, hell yeah! If they'll have us, we're on board. And Art reached out to us, so we were very lucky in that way.
Yeah, it seems like a really good fit,
always
like
had our
sonically.
backs.
So, what are the details of the show? Because people hear this, this will be out like a few weeks before the release show. So, where can people get tickets? What's the date? First of all, that's important too. And yeah, let's go from there.
Yeah, April 15th, Saturday, April 15th, 2023, at the Park Theater. Tickets available through the Park Theater website. $15 plus some fees, so I think it rounds out to about $19.95 or something like that.
And then the good thing about this being a podcast is someone could hear it hopefully before the show, or they could hear it like a year from now when you guys are long dead, and not personally, but as a band, and they maybe want to go back and find some of your releases and see what you did in the past. What's the best way to sort of keep up with whatever is going on or is not going on in the Thrashers world online at this point?
I'd say
That'd
Bandcamp and
probably
Instagram.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's probably also are the songs on all of the random streaming services that everyone uses as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In fact, we're going to be having our singles from the album rolling out weekly on Spotify through March and beginning of April.
Oh, cool. Okay. It's just on Spotify?
No, it'll be on Apple Music and all that jazz as well.
Cool, cool. I don't know how any of those work. I'm old and set in my ways, but it's always good to
Yeah.
hear that that they're being used for things like that. So yeah, so Instagram people should check out I guess to follow the various activities. Are any of you in other projects? Like, do you have other music coming out post Thrashers, or is that to be determined in the future?
Currently,
I'll jump on this.
I am not. There's always room for opportunity, but yeah, after this show, I'm a clean slate.
I've been I've been releasing a couple experimental songs online for the past, or just one a year for the past couple of years. I've been making them as Christmas gifts to my nephew Zephyr. He's playing around with talk to text on his mom's phone and comes up with some interesting word combinations, and I've been turning them into songs. So I've been releasing those on my own YouTube page, but they're I'll give fair warning, they're bizarre.
No, those are great tracks, man. They're great.
What is it called? Like,
Very
where can
good.
people find that? That sounds interesting, at least.
The group is called Uncle Ian and the Downstairs Residents. And the two songs I've got so far are Fruit Salad Mama and Do You Know. If you just search those on YouTube, you can check them out there.
I'm definitely going to. That sounds awesome. And
All
Jesse,
right.
are you in any other bands at this point?
No, you know what? I've been threatening to start a Ramones cover band for decades, and you know what? I'm gonna do it one of these days. But no, I nothing outside of Thrasher stuff. I do I do a lot of stand up comedy. I go to open mics. I do the odd craft and art show every now and again. But in all honesty, like this was the best possible band I could have asked to be in. I don't think it's gonna get any better. So if I say that now and years down the road I happen to be in another band, sorry, other guys, you weren't as good as the Thrashers. You're living in their ghosts.